Hello, welcome. How are you all doing today? As you all are coming in, give me a hey, hi, let me know where you all are joining from. This is a very interesting topic that we're going to be talking about today is how to secure a 200K salary as a woman of color. And I don't see a lot of people talking about very high salaries for women of color. And I know even for me, I usually am talking about six-figure salaries, right? And yes, we need to, I think six-figure salaries are the bare minimum. But for the level of experience and work that I see a lot of women of color doing, they should be at that multiple six-figure level. This is 2024 going on 2025. Companies do pay multiple six figures. So, what I'm going to go through today is what you have to do as a woman of color to position yourself, to interview, and to land that multiple six figure role, that 200K salary as a woman of color. Now, this salary can include bonuses, it can include, like equity. It can be multiple things to make you whole. That's what we're going to be talking about today because I want you to know this is possible. This topic actually came up because I've had several clients recently hit that 200K mark, and I wanted to share with you all exactly how they did it and what we worked on in the program. So, I have a program called Leadership Legacy. That program is designed to help women of color earn 200K in a leadership role without sacrificing their personal freedom and family time. And a leadership role can be an individual contributor role. The things I'm going to go over today will apply to you even if you don't want to supervise. Even if you are like Latrice, I don't want to manage a whole like ton of people, 15, 20 people, you can still have this salary. I have a client now. She's an individual contributor in the tech. Now she is in tech and she makes over 200K. I have another client who was in she was in the tech industry, but HR. All right. So HR in the tech industry. And she was making multiple six figures. She had one employee. I think she just transitioned to another industry now. But I wanted to share that so that you all see what is possible for you as a woman of color in corporate America today, right now. Okay. So give me a hey hi. If you are new to my channel, if you are new to my network, welcome. How are you doing? I am Latrice Huff, career and leadership coach to ambitious women of color. And it is my mission and my movement and my purpose to put more women of color in positions of power and leadership roles. Because when we are in leadership roles, we actually have a domino impact. We hire more women of color. When we make more money, we do more for our community and we change the world together. So this is all right. Let's get into it. I want you all to start. I'm going to check my comments because sometimes on my system, on my screen, I can't always see. And I like to give you all shout outs and just thank you all for watching and show my appreciation. So give me a hey, hi as you're joining in. I see we got some people from YouTube, my YouTube people. Give me a hey, hi. I appreciate that. All right. Hey, Francis. Give me a. All right. So this is what we have today for this. And if you all are loving this topic and topics like this, be sure to DM me ready and I will actually get on a call with you all. We'll talk about where you are in your career, how we can get you to six figures or multiple six figures and beyond, and which program that I have would be best for you. All right. So you can just DM me ready. We'll talk about that. All right. So let's just get into it. What do I have for number one? All right, let me preface this. Let me start this episode by saying, yes, 200K is possible for you. Yes, there are Black women, women of color who are making 200K or more right now as a salary. Plenty of them are my clients. I have lots of clients that are making 200K. And like I said, there are multiple ways. I have one client, her salary is 180 and then she gets over a 20K bonus. I've had clients who are making like 190, and then maybe they hit a $10,000 sign-on bonus. And then I have some clients where their salary is just 210,000 base. Their base salary is 250,000, and they still get equity, stock options, bonuses, things like that at the base salary. Here's the key before we start any of this: you have to know that you are worth it. If you have over 10 years experience, if you have multiple degrees, if you have changed the industry, if you're an expert in your field, all right. If you're an expert in your field, you can make 200K. If you're like, Latrice, I'm not even at 100K. No worries. If you're at 90K, I had a client go from 90K. We worked together when she was making 90K. She went from 90K to 150 to $250,000 in 2 years. And what I've noticed is once you get over that 100K mark, and it could have taken you 20 years to get to 100K. Some people it takes less, but once you get to that 100K, now you know the concepts. It doesn't take as long to get to a 200K salary. It does not. Like, people think, oh, if if it took me, 10, 15, 20 years to get to 105,000, then to get to 200,000 it may take me to another 10 years. That's not the case. It could take you 1 year, it could take you 3 months, it could take 6 months. A lot of my clients in my leadership legacy program do it in 6 months. They could go from making 99, 90, 105, 150 to 200 and 250K in 6 months. So I want you to know first, it's possible. There are roles out there, there are companies out there that pay multiple six figures. Okay. Your part as a woman of color is to know that it is possible for you and that you are worthy and deserving of it. Start there, sis. You want the 200K? Okay, well, especially if you're close to 100 or you're over that 100K mark, you need to know that you can do this without the additional workload. That's what comes up a lot. Like, well, if I make 200K, I'm really going to have to work a lot. Or I had someone tell me, Latrice, I don't want to make 200K yet because I'll have to supervise 15 people. And I was like, sis, that's not true. That's just simply not true. Okay. What you have to do is find companies and roles at the level of 200K. What you have to do is position yourself as an expert in your field and a high level contributor, is what you need to do. All right. So let me start here. One, you need to focus on your personal brand, high level branding. For those of you at the over six figures, you've probably already established some level of your personal brand. To get to the 200 mark, you need to have a high level personal brand, and you need to be branding yourself outside of your company. Because usually, let me tell you this, at the 200K salary too, you're not really applying for these roles. A lot of times they're coming to you. This is why your brand is so important. And this is why it's important to build your brand externally. What that looks like is building your brand with vendors, possibly doing speaking engagements. Are you on panels? How are you positioning yourself? How are you branding yourself outside of your organization? You branding yourself inside your organization, I'm going to assume that's a given right there. How are you branding yourself outside your organization, right? Because we're not playing the qualification games at this point. At the 200K level, every person they interview, every person they speak to for the role will be qualified, including you. So it's no, I'm the most qualified. I don't meet I don't meet all the qualifications. Everybody's qualified on this level. So what you don't do is play the qualified game because everybody qualified. What you don't do is then go out and get more. I need another degree. I need another certification. What you don't. What you need to do is know how to utilize and articulate your value with the skills and education and expertise you have right now. So building your brand, you're building your personal brand externally, outside of your company. You should already be doing it internally. Right. And I give you all some examples what that looks like. This is very important. I should see you branded on LinkedIn. I tell my clients this now. If you do a speaking engagement, if you had a major event or a major project, are you sharing that externally outside of your company? Are you sharing it inside of your company? This is also how you're going to get these high level opportunities come to you, because at this level, you don't have time to be sitting around filling out resumes all day. That's not what we're doing. We want to attract, we want the opportunities to come to us. We want executive recruiters coming to us. We want opportunities coming to us. We want to now be at the point where we are earmarked for an opportunity. We want our name to be coming up in rooms we're not even in about, yes, Latrice would be good for that role. Yes, Francine would be great for that. Yes, Francis, we should hire her, put her in that role. Okay? Let me know. Let me know if y'all picking up what I'm dropping. If you're like, all right, we got you, we got you. Let me know. Right? All right. Building your brand internally and externally. Let me see. I just did a I'm going to talk about that branding. And then here's the thing, at this level, y'all, you also need to be able to build and should be building your executive presence. You're branding yourself, right? And externally, and then your executive presence. I did a whole workshop last week on executive presence. If you missed it, we have that replay. Put ready in the comments, and I'll make sure that myself or my business manager, we will get you that link for the free workshop. It's called How to Build Executive Presence and Advancing Your Career as a Woman of Color. And I go over the 5 major areas of executive presence, including executive communication, clarity, being concise in your messaging, community. We got 5 up, credibility. All 5 you need to be working on. If you're interested in that, again, put ready in the comments and we'll go ahead and get that sent out to you. And you can watch that free workshop. You need to be very conscious about your executive presence. How are you showing up? How are you presenting yourself? And that does not mean conformity. I talk about the 5 C's, but conformity is not one of them. It is not about code switching either. Let me just say that it is not about code switching. All right. So if any of y'all thinking, oh, to make 200K, I got a code switch. That is not true. My clients that are making 200K, I have a client now, she's making 250. She's got what do we call it? Like the TWA teeny with the afro. She wears her hair natural, and she is in corporate America working at a Fortune 500 company. She works 40 hours a week. That's it. 2 days a week hybrid. She has a family. She's a mom. She's a wife. She travels. She does these, and she doesn't supervise. And she does not supervise. But you have to have executive presence is confidence too. That is one of those C's. And again, like I said, I go through all of these. If you're watching on YouTube, you can still put comments in the I'm streaming simultaneously on LinkedIn and YouTube, so it's showing me the YouTube people. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and put ready in there. I'll make sure that you all get the workshop too. Hey Kayla, thank you for putting ready. I'm gonna make sure that we get that we get the workshop link to you. And hey Sharita, let me make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Sharita, let me know. But I'll make sure that we get that out to you all, okay? So that executive presence is very, very important, you guys, at this level. People need to be able to see you in that 200K role. Like, okay, I can see her. This is it. It needs to be almost like the natural next step. And don't think that you need to already be making close to 200K. You don't. Like I said earlier, I've seen people go from like 100 low 100s to 200 very quickly, like that next role. Thank you, Sharita. She said I did. I said her name correctly. Again, I've had clients go from 90 to like over 100, 150, 160 to 200 very quickly, and to 250 very, very quickly. Right? Most of my clients do it in around that 6-month mark. And again, you will not hear me say you need another degree. You're not going to hear me say you need to get another certification or you need to be conforming. A lot of times, let me tell you, we just gonna keep it real. A lot of time, 90% of y'all just need to have the confidence to go after the role that you want. You just need the confidence to be able to say 200K out your mouth. That's it. Kayla says, thank you. I feel like I'm all over the place. Let me see. With my branding, and I need branding need guidance. And I get it. Yes, we need to be guided. It's nothing wrong with that. I had a coach help me come up with my tagline, with my slogan about helping women of color. Um, like land six-figure promotions using their personal brand. That I had a coach help me come up with that. I had a coach help me come up with my tagline of like helping women of color land 200K in leadership roles without sacrificing personal freedom and family time. I was like, oh, I love that. I love that. So it's nothing wrong if you're like, hey, I got myself pretty far, but I need a little bit of help. In that workshop, Kayla, you're going to see we talk a lot about community and the power of community, and that as women of color, we should not and cannot do it by ourselves. Nobody, y'all, nobody else is doing this by themselves. Okay, let me just tell y'all that. Not only do I work with women of color, but in my I have private coaching where I work one on one. I have a lot. I have male clients. I work with white males. I work with black men. I work with Middle Eastern men all over, and they're not doing it by themselves. Just because they're not there, they don't tell you, "Hey, I have a coach. Hey, I have this person helping me." Trust and believe they are. I had this guy. Side note, I had this guy I work with. He said every job he ever got, his father helped him get, and he was proud of it. So don't think because you need a little bit of support, because you just need to run your ideas by somebody, because you need somebody to see the blind spots that you can't see, that you're any less worthy. I never recommend when you're trying to get to that multiple six-figure level. Why? I never recommend doing it by yourself. Never. It doesn't make any sense. Doing something like this by yourself will cost you years. Not just money in your salary, it will cost you time. So if you need a little guidance, it's all good. We all do. We all do. I don't know anyone, male or female or otherwise, who has gotten to 200K or more on their own, where they didn't have a coach, a mentor, a sponsor, a boss that looked out for them, a colleague, a coworker, an association, some sort of support system or community. And if they tell you they did, y'all, they just lying. They just lying. but sitting in HR, being in HR, and I saw the people who were getting ahead, who were making these salaries, y'all. I remember seeing the highest house somebody getting 300,000. I was like, I didn't even know we paid that much, right? And they had someone helping them negotiate their salary. All right. Sure, this is thank you for affirming that. Thank you for affirming that trying to move to that next level feels overwhelming at times. Yes, yes, Sharita, because we're trying. You don't need to do this on your own. You should not either. You shouldn't. This whole independent woman thing, and let me tell you something. I am independent. That doesn't mean I want to do everything by myself. You can be self sufficient and independent and still get support. They don't have to be battling against each other. And when it comes to our career and increasing our salary, I always recommend. I'll tell you this, if y'all want to work with me, and y'all might have heard me say this before, I always say I recommend 50%, around 50% of my clients, I recommend therapy to, and the other 50% are already seeing a therapist. Even getting support, because there's a reason why we're not going after what we want. And sometimes it could be these deep down like feelings of worthiness and deserving and things like that a coach can help you see and build and bring it to your blind spot and help you work through it, but a therapist helps you heal at your core. So I recommend therapy all the time. Um, but yeah, just know, and support can come in many different ways too. It doesn't always, like, people think I need a mentor. I've heard people say I'm not where I need to be because I don't have a mentor. I've never had a mentor before. Sis, get a mentor then. But it's other type of support. Just know it's community support, it's support through associations, it's support from colleagues and coworkers, it's support from having like a boss. So I had somebody in another department who used to look out for me. Those things help. Okay, so you can find start in looking in your network where you can actually get support, and then if you really feel like you need a mentor, get a mentor. And if you feel like you need a coach, get a coach. I love to work with you all. You can DM me ready. and I'll reach out to you. If you put ready in the comments, I'll make sure that you all get that workshop. And then you'll also have access to like my email and you can schedule a call with me. But you don't need to do it on your own. Kayla says, I definitely need a sense of community. I'm a first generation scholar and feel like I'm doing everything all alone. I hear that a lot. A lot of my clients that I work with are for like the first in their families, right? Maybe they're the first in the family to go to college. Some of them are the first in the family. I had one client, she's the first in her family to even graduate high school. Maybe you're the first in your family to get a master's degree. It's a lot of pressure, not just being the first. Sometimes you're the only at that moment until other people start coming up. You're the only one. And it can be very isolating and feeling like no one understands you while you have all this pressure on you. I just got another certification and I'm not sure how to add it to my personal brand. Yeah. Now I tell my clients, we figure out, do we need it first and how we can utilize the certification before they even get it. If we can't work that out, then I don't recommend that they get it unless it's for like personal reasons. Unless they're like, hey, I just want to, I'm interested in gardening like I am or something, right? But now that you have it, whatever this certification is, start utilizing it. Announce it on LinkedIn. This is what I mean by building your brand externally. Announce that you have it on LinkedIn. And you don't need to just do it once. You can announce that you have this like multiple times. Put it in the feature section on your LinkedIn. Make sure you have your credentials behind your name on LinkedIn. Make sure that when you're speaking to people about it, you then connect it to how it can help solve their problem. All right. So that if you've already gotten it, now we're kind of working backwards, because I usually recommend that we go through this before you get the certification. But now that you have the certification, all right, great, you have it. How does that certification help you solve a company's problem quicker, faster, better than the next person? That's how you want to position it, and that's how you can utilize it. Let me know if that makes sense, Kayla. Okay, so we talked about your personal branding externally. We talked about executive presence. Now, here, oh y'all, this Kayla, Kayla, thank you for your comment, because it's bringing me right into my next point, which is you need to make sure that you're communicating the impact that you have on the company, the impact that you can have on another company or that you've had on your company. A lot of times you all just talk about, when I say you all, y'all know, I'm include myself too, I'm a Black woman. We talk about our actions instead of our impact. The action is, I created this spreadsheet, I ran a report. The impact is that spreadsheet that I created now keeps all of our data housed in one place. I can easily create a report, which we analyze, and now we can problem solve and prevent fires better. And prevent fires. So now, by having this spreadsheet and I'm able to run reports, I can see where the company is leaking money. By doing this, I've now saved the company 27 man hours a week. By doing this, I've now caught, this is, oh my goodness, so many of my clients, I've now caught $1 million error. The impact that you're having on the company, not just the actions. At this point, at the 200K, you're not really talking about the actions really at all. At all. In my programs, we have a special method on how we interview for six-figure roles and how we tell our stories, called the tier method. You all might have heard me talk about this before. TEAR. It's really talking about like having emotion, where you give a little teaser first, you talk about the actions, you talk about the action, and then you explain the problem, and then you give the results again. Well, for my I have a program, Leadership Legacy. That's the one that helps you land the 200K role and beyond. At that level, we don't just talk about our actions. Your actions, I'll be like one sentence. We talk about the strategy behind your actions. Let me know if that makes sense. I asked them about the decision on the action. Why did you do A instead of B? What will A lead us towards versus like B and C? The strategy, the strategic thought process behind your actions. This is also why, you guys, that STAR method is not going to work on this level. It doesn't work for women of color, period, because we talk way too much about the actions. But in general, when you're at this high level point, 200K or more, whether you supervise or you're an individual contributor, it is all about your impact. They want to know about your thought process, not the action you took, but why did you take that action versus another action? How did you creating this spreadsheet work out better than you are buying new software? Let me know if that makes sense. The impact, the strategy behind your actions. Let me know if y'all like, all right, Latrice, we got this. And because I'm talking to y'all differently. At this level, at 200K, I'm not hand holding, right? Like I'm gonna give it to y'all real. If you're like Latrice, I'm trying to get to my first 100, so I have a fearless branding formula program. Oh my god, I love them. I give them a little more. We do a little more hand holding at the 200K level. I'm assuming some you have the foundations of some things, and I'm giving it to you straight. But they were like straight, no chaser. All right. She said, thank you for that insight. Yes. Straight no chaser. So at this level, it is about the strategy behind your actions, the impact that your actions have on the company, not what you did. And this is where I see people get stuck in that middle management, is because they're still kind of working out the kinks from like the impact and the actions and the strategy, and they'll be like, oh, I oversaw the strategic direction of the marketing department, and they're like, okay, well, how did you do that? And then you start talking about your everyday tasks. No, they want to know about the impact that you had on the company. All right. Kayla says, makes sense. Love your mindset when it comes to being strategic as a woman of color. Yes. Y'all, I mean, my business, I'm doing the same thing with my business now that I have a multiple six-figure business. I think about the strategic process behind my actions. Even showing up live, answering questions, it's a strategy behind the topics that I select and I choose. People think I'm just coming up here talking. No, it's a strategy behind all of that. Right. And when I see people in their career or their business get stuck at an income level, it's because they had exhausted all of their actions and they're no longer crossing over now into like a more strategic part. That doesn't mean you are not strategic. It just means, are you talking about the strategic impact? Are you talking about your strategy behind your actions? Are you communicating that? All right. So it's a difference. It's a difference. I'm not saying you're not strategic. I'm saying, are you communicating that? All right. So let me know if y'all like, we got it. We got it. And then here's my next one. You also need to be showing that you are influential. How are you influential? All right. Like I see a lot of people on their resume and they talk about influence, influence. Great. How are you influential? I had someone, I was working with her and she's a project manager. And one of the things that she was telling me was that she used to work with engineers and marketing in these different departments who usually don't get along, but she gets them to complete these projects on time. And I was like, girl, do you talk about that? She was like, no. I was like, oh, you're being influential. You need to talk about that, whether you directly supervise or not. How do you influence people? Can you advise and influence executive leaders? You can you influence your peers? Can you get people on your ideas and initiatives? This is very important going forward. Okay. And if you're like, yes, Latrice, I am doing this, then are you communicating this? Are you communicating this? Okay. And then the next thing, and because I'm referring to my little notes here, this is interesting. I want to talk a little bit more about this concept of an entrepreneur. Are you behaving as an entrepreneur inside the company? So I just talked about how in my business, we make decisions on the actions and things like that. If I were to go into a new company, I'm still going to have the same mentality and mindset of an entrepreneur, meaning I'm going to take accountability, meaning I'm going to come up with initiatives, meaning I'm going to set the vision. Granted, there's going to be, maybe the CEO or somebody or the board of directors who are setting like the long-term strategic vision, but how can you set the vision for your department to fit and achieve these objectives and goals? All right, that's really where you need to be thinking. How can you position yourself as an internal entrepreneur? So they call it an entrepreneur, meaning you don't need them to tell you every single thing to do. So and look, I'm telling you all this not just to get the salary, but to keep it. But to keep it, and I'm going to be honest, we just gonna be real for a minute. I've had clients that I help them get to 200K, and if they do not continuously work on these things by choice or by force, within 1 year, they leave that role. So now, this is one of the reasons why my clients renew with me, because it's not just about getting you in. I want to make sure that you are successful in longevity until you are ready to leave the job market, until you decide to leave. So at this level, do not expect them to tell you what you need to do on a day to day. I had a client, so inside my program Leadership Legacy, one of the bonuses that we offer is I have a former client and former executive. She does my executive interview prep. So she gives them one session, she interviews them just how they would in a real executive interview. And one of the questions came up. One of my clients kind of asked her, like, hey, what would a day-to-day look like? And she was like, at this level, you set your own day-to-day. So this is what I mean by an internal entrepreneur. You don't need at this level somebody to say at 9 o'clock you're going to do this, at 10 o'clock you're going to do. They're going they're going to tell you what the company objectives are, where they're putting the funds and resources, and it's going to be up to you to decide how you're going to use those funds and resources, including your people, how the day to day is going to look for you and your team, and how you're going to execute. And this is okay. And I know there's a sense of security in people telling us what to do, right? Because one, we can be like, oh, you told me to do it. Secondly, it's like, okay, it's a comfort level. I know exactly what I need to do. Where you have to really trust yourself more and really see yourself as the leader and the expert when they're like, overall, this is the goal. You set that you tell us how we're gonna get there. And I've seen this come up time and time again. I actually have a client now, she's in a 200K role. And she was like, Latrice, I just want them to tell me what to do. And I was like, well, they're not going to be telling like, no, not at this level. And really, it was her confidence. She knew exactly what she needed to do, but it was her confidence in doing it, and she didn't want to be like get in trouble. And I was like, no, they're looking to you. You're the expert here. You're the subject matter expert. They're telling you what the overall vision and goal is, and now you're going to set the direction and vision for your department to get this done and help them achieve it. Y'all, let me know if this piece makes sense about you're now the entrepreneur. You now set the tone for your day to day. And let's be honest, how many of you all find comfort in somebody else telling you what to do? Like we all do. But at this level, I want you to feel comfortable trusting yourself that you can take care of the task and the actions and the direction, that you can do it. Because a lot of times when I see women stuck at that 100K mark or 150 mark, it is a level of trust that they don't have for themselves at the 200K mark. But that you've earned that. You've earned that level of trust. You know your stuff. Speak up. And this goes with also like speaking up in the meetings, not wanting to share your ideas, not wanting to talk about initiative, or before you present an initiative, you want to try to get all the votes you can, have somebody else present your idea for you. No, not at this level. Not at the, and when I'm saying 200, I mean 200 and more, 200, 250, 300, 400, not at this level. Let me check these comments. Kayla says, makes sense. Love your mindset when it comes to being strategic. Yeah. All right. Let me know if it's any more comments. Do y'all have any more questions? I'm going to check the comments on my phone just in case I missed any. All right. Yeah. Just in case I missed any. And you guys, share this out. Tag someone. If you know a woman of color who needs to hear this, if she's like, I'm stuck in middle management, I'm making 6 figures, but this is what I hear. I'm making 6 figures, but I don't think I can make any more. So I'm fine. Not the way inflation set up. Like not the way inflation set up. Not the no. You like was if you knew how to make more money without sacrificing your personal freedom and family time and burning yourself out, then would you make more money? And notice what I'm saying is not, I'm not telling you all to work more hours. I'm saying I need you to be strategic about the work that you do and communicate that. And communicate. If you're like, yeah, Latrice, I do all this. Like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm inside. I set the tone. Okay, but do you share your results and your accomplishments? Do you tell people about what you're doing? Are you branding yourself now outside of that organization? And I'm kind of giving these to you all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But I want you to think of them as a circle, like working together. And it doesn't have to be hard. I can guarantee you all, a lot of you all are probably already doing some of these and you're just not communicating them. And maybe it's probably one or two that you really need to work on. And I want to say, okay, Kayla says, how do you navigate positions in a predominantly male dominated space? Here's the thing, Kayla. I mean, when you get to that executive level, for the most part, maybe with the exception of like some nonprofits or a couple of industries, is going to be predominantly male. It even in like industries like HR is a predominantly female industry. When you start to go up to those executive level, you tend to see more predominantly males. Here's the thing, in that male dominated position, you need to in the male dominated space, you need to be true to yourself. We think sometimes we need to conform and be overly masculine or not too soft. You don't. You need to be more about yourself, building your brand externally, deciding on the culture of a company too, not just the space in the industry, but is that culture, what is the culture of the company that you're going into as well? Because even if the industry or the space is predominantly male dominated, what is the culture of that company like? And again, when you start talking about your impact, some of this will fade away too. Right? Like if they know you can bring them in money or they know you can save them time or you're bringing in ideas and initiatives, as y'all, even people, the most sexist, racist person would be like, all right, I'm gonna hire you anyway. But getting it is going to be about getting some face time and communicating your value, communicating what you're doing, being strategic in your actions and explaining why you did something and the overall impact. Versus we tend to get caught up in action. I'm going to try to outwork this person. That's not going to always be the answer because you will just burn yourself out and they sitting there going to golf games and baseball games. Ask me how I know. So it is going to be a point where it's like, I need to be talking more about my impact, the overall changes and results that I'm making on this company or in this space for the better versus just my actions and my task. And you don't want to be, um, you don't want to get into like a worker bee syndrome either. And you don't want to start competing with people on who going to work the hardest because that's not going to get you to that 200K. And if it is, you will burn out very quickly within a year. But a lot of my clients are in male dominated spaces, especially the higher up they go. And I'm going to say this too, Kayla, get a support system. Really get a support system. You want to have a community where you can decompress, where you can be yourself. Um, not and I am someone, do I think you should be yourself at work? Do I think you need yes. Do I think you need to be your whole self? No. They ain't paying you for your whole self. I would highly recommend getting a community and a support system where you can be yourself. Okay. She says, thank you for that. I feel like I'm hesitant at times because I'm usually the only woman of color in space. Girl, I know what it is. At one point, I was the only brown person on the entire floor. On the entire floor. So I definitely understand. This is why you do need to find a community and support system. This is why you need to be poured into, because it can be draining. Even if you work in the best culture, but you're the only one, it that in itself can make you feel like an outsider, unsafe and unwanted. Even if these people are not, you know what I'm saying? Just the optics of it can make you feel unsafe. And then even if it's one other person, sometimes they start pitting people against each other, and that there can be only one syndrome, right? So definitely have a community. Definitely see how you're going to be branding yourself outside of there, but you're also going to be building yourself a support system in a community. Because I found I need help verbalizing my impact and personal brand. Yes. I actually have my clients practice getting it out of their mouths. Like, how are you going to say this? How are you going to talk about this? And I do this with my male clients too. You all would be shocked how men have the same thoughts, the same insecurities. I noticed that, but they can just get over it really quickly, or they'll be like, I'm still going to take the actions. For us as women of color, we have a little more um conditioning that makes things a little more challenging for us internally and externally. Like the scenario, the things are real. Like the things are real. The things are real. You have yes, I highly recommend a therapist and a support system. But have a community too. Like a therapist is one person. Have a group. Oh, you are a trailblazer. Oh, thank you. So you're a trailblazer. JP says you want to make 200K, you have to produce more than 200K value. That's actually true. That is very, very true. Thank you, JP, for putting that in as a comment from YouTube. So I don't know if you all can see that. That was a YouTube comment. One of the things I tell my clients to do is on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, you need to be showing, and I used to say I used to be like 3 times your ideal. Now I say 5 times. You need to show 5 times your ideal. Meaning, if your ideal salary is 200K, how can you show that you have saved, created, generated, prevented the loss of, I would say, 600K to $1 million. So you want to 3 to 5x that ideal. This is very true, because when they're looking to hire you, most companies have already done the math that, okay, if we're going to pay this person 200K, and we're going to be paying their benefits and everything, we need them to be able to bring in, now whether you see it or not, bring in, typically it's 3 times that. But you need to be able to articulate your value and know that you're bringing in 3 to 5 times that amount. I prefer 5 times, and it makes it just much easier. It makes your salary a no-brainer. So this is one of the things that I recommend. Me and my clients go through this, and we literally put the metrics and the numbers on their resume, and we start with their ideal salary. Their ideal salary. And again, thank you, JP, for bringing this up. Everyone on here should be able to do this. I talk a lot with my clients about metrics and quantifying their results, quantifying your results. We have a whole system that we do where it's called calculating your contributions, where I have them tell me, like, what are you proud of? What do you get complimented on? What did you do today? Because a lot of times we have a hard time doing this. But I say, what have you done today? And then we take that and we turn it into a metric. How are you impacting the bottom line? This goes under impact. Thank you, GP. Any other comments or questions? You all are rocking today. You all are rocking. All right, we I feel like we've covered a lot. We covered a lot. We like, all right, we know we need to focus on our personal brand and building our personal brand externally outside of the company. We know we need to build that executive presence, including executive communication. We talked about making sure that we know our impact. This is where when we talk about calculating our contributions and producing that value, right? And knowing the value that you create and you produce and putting a metric to that, that goes under impact. All right. Understanding and being able to communicate the impact you will have on the company and that you've had in previous companies, right? And then how are you influential? I want you all to think about this. How are you influential? Who have you influenced and how can you continue to influence at a very high level? And then the final one is being able to position yourself and become that entrepreneur. How can you be a business owner inside the company or entrepreneur inside the company? All right. And I see Gloria says, ready. Yes. If you all want that free workshop, um, on how to build executive presence and advance your career as a woman of color in corporate in 2024 too, y'all. 2024 and beyond, put ready in the comments and we'll get that workshop to you all. And then if you're like, Latrice, I am loving this. I am a woman of color. I want to make 200K or more. Or if you're already making 200K or more, but you're like, I want to be able to be in a position that's sustainable and I want to be able to do this without sacrificing your personal freedom and family time, DM me, message me. You can message me ready, you can message me help, and we're going to get on a phone call. We're going to talk about where you are versus where you want to go. I'll share with you how I can help you, and I'll tell you the best program for you. All right. Any other questions or comments before we hop off for tonight? Because you all have been rocking. I'm going to check. Oh, wait a minute. I want to make sure I didn't miss any. All right. Okay. Because sometimes they show on my phone. All right. Thank you all for so much from joining. Thank you, my YouTube people. Sometimes it shows me the YouTube thing, sometimes it doesn't. But thank you. I love giving my YouTube people a shout out. Thank you for everyone who's watching me on LinkedIn. You all have a wonderful week and chat with you soon. See you next week. Bye.